haven't been so sure. I'm tired of being lonely all the time.
And now, Morning Chat with Ken Hayes on WSYB and WSYB1380AM.com. Talk of the day, conversation with folks around town, and you. Your calls are always welcome at 802-773-9792 or toll free 877-241-5960. And now, here's Ken.
I was hoping you'd be there. It's Ken Hayes here for Tuesday, July the 15th, 2014. It's 7 minutes after 9 o'clock at WSYB. And we are happy to welcome to our studio this morning Joanna Sokolowska, an international artist in residence at the Carving Studio and Sculpture Center in West Rutland, Vermont. Powitanie do WSYB.
Welcome.
To WSYB. Yeah, hey, your Polish is very good. I like that. It should be. Joanna is on a Fulbright scholarship to the United States on a 2-year program working on her second, count 'em, 1-2, second master's degree at the Massachusetts College of Art and Design, is spending part of her summer here in the beauty of Vermont. Before coming to America, Joanna was graduated from the Warsaw Academy of Fine Arts, spent a year studying at the Academy of Fine Arts in Rome. You have quite an extensive background for such a young person. You're a smart cookie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming in. You grew up in Warsaw, right? In Warsaw,
Yes,
Poland?
Warsaw, Poland.
What was life like for you there?
Well, Warsaw, right now, Warsaw is a pretty big city. It's definitely one of the nicest city in Europe. And I'm not saying that just because I'm living there. It's a mixture of beautiful tradition of Polish people and of innovation. Actually, we're growing very fast. So my life there as a young girl was quite typical. You know, I've studied a lot. I had a lot of friends. We've been enjoying time together, and I have really beautiful memories from my childhood. Very safe, very playful, very cheerful.
So you were a happy child.
Definitely, yes. I had most beautiful and safe childhood I could ever imagine. I feel really lucky to have this, to have a really great family and great background.
You seem very happy here. You've got that smile and that twinkle in the eye.
I cannot stop smiling since I came here. It's a beautiful place, and everybody right now for me are like a family. It's amazing how welcoming everybody is here for me. So. Did any of your family come with you from Poland, or are you all by yourself? I'm all by myself, yeah.
Whoa, that's got to be a little challenging, a little lonely at times?
Definitely, yeah. So beginnings were a bit hard, as always, coming to a new country, because I must say I've never been to United States before. This is my first time.
Oh, this is your first?
Yes,
oh.
Yes. So it is a bit overwhelming, this moment when you stand with a big suitcase in the airport and okay, which direction to take. But because I had experience of traveling in Europe in my life, I traveled a lot, so I'm used to traveling. Maybe not to such a big scale as right now, but I did travel a lot, and I love traveling. There is a moment which is hard being alone at the beginning, but once I get into the spirit of travel, I'm really into it, and I really enjoy it.
And how was the trip over here to America?
So I actually flew from Warsaw. I flew to Boston.
Straight?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Because I'm doing my program there.
Right.
And here to Vermont, I also flew by plane, by this little cozy plane with 6 persons.
We call them a puddle jumper.
They are so cute.
Well, they jump over the puddles. It must have been a smooth ride then, because you wouldn't be so fond of them if it were a windy day. Those things they can get pushed up and down when you, so you've never experienced that turbulence?
No. It was always very safe, very stable. But it was a great adventure flying here because I was able to see all the beautiful landscape and all the mountains. So I think I really like flying by plane. It's something about being in the sky, high above that makes me really excited, and the feeling of being free in the air.
Yeah, but you must be used to rail travel too, because Europe rail travel's much bigger than here.
That's true. Yes, we do travel a lot by rail.
Yeah. So you're finally here.
Yes.
And I guess your home base would be Massachusetts, right? Boston for the College of Art and Design.
Yes.
But you're here for the summer?
Yes.
How long are you here for here in Vermont?
So I will be here till 6th of August, so like 3 more weeks.
Okay.
Because I have arrived beginning of June, so it's already been over a month.
Yeah.
So it's a long time I'm here, and 3 more weeks, yeah.
I want to get into what you're doing over there at the Carving Studio and Sculpture Center in West Rutland. But before we get to that, I just a little background, because I'm fascinated. How did you get into sculpting? What drew you to sculpt? Because you said you had just a very normal, natural, everyday childhood, and most kids these days are not exposed in any way, shape, or form to sculpture. How did you become attracted to it?
So it was my family. I grew up in an artistic family. My uncles are sculptors, and one of them is actually quite well known in Poland. His name is Adam Myjak, and he's also the dean of Academy of Fine Arts in Warsaw. So it's a big person, and having such a prestigious sculptor in my family, of course, had a huge impact on me.
Yeah.
So art was always there in my family. My garden was full of sculptures made by him when he was my age. Also, my mother, who is an architect, she always loved drawing. She loved painting.
Oh, your mom's an architect?
Yes, she's an architect. Wow. So it's a quite diverse artistic background I have, and it must have been because of them that I just started being interested in art. It just came naturally.
Yeah. But you've worked in granite, you've worked in soapstone, but clay. You've worked in clay.
Yes,
See,
I love
clay
clay.
is very special to me. It's like, how do I describe it best? It's like an extension of your fingertips.
Definitely.
Almost. You know what I mean? I can feel it. It's hard for me to express in words, but you can. If it were television, folks could see what I'm doing with my hands.
Yes.
Is that what drew you to sculpting originally, because of the way you can feel the art, what you're doing?
Yeah, you just said it perfectly. So clay is, I think, my favorite material. It's because it's so sensitive, so malleable.
Yes, malleable.
And I really working with my hands without actually tools. So to feeling the material directly, and it's like it's like drawing, but without paint, without a crayon, but drawing with directly with the material, with your hands. I like the touch of clay. I just like playing with that. The fact that it's so free, there are no restrictions. You don't have to worry about chopping too much material.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it's a very graceful material, I think.
I love it. It's from my earliest recollection as a child, they just give you a lump of clay and they'd say, go and play with it.
Definitely.
And most of us graduate from just rolling out little stick figures but you must be much more accomplished than I don't think I ever got past the stick figure, but still I had so much fun with it. It's a way of, it's a way to convert amorphous feelings into something tangible, something you can touch, something you can embrace, you can, kind of wrap your arms around, if not just your fingers around.
Yes, definitely. Yes. And it's because I really like working with emotions, with expressing emotions, showing emotions. Clay is a material that gives you this freedom to actually to think while doing. It's not that I have a precise model when I start doing my clay. I just get into the certain mood, the certain feeling, and I just really go with the flow. Sometimes listening to music that I love, being sad or being happy. It's all about this moment that I really want to feel and convey into, like, to create a three-dimensional form. based on my feelings, something like that.
The emotion of the moment?
Yes, definitely, yes.
We're chatting with Joanna Sokolowska. I am pronouncing your last name
beautiful,
correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. Well, my Polish is not nearly as good as your English is, so, forgive me if I kind of slur it a little from time to time.
Thank you.
Joanna is an international artist in residence at the Carving Studio and Sculpture Center in West Rutland. The website there is carvingstudio.org, or you can stop by. It's a great place, 636 Marble Street, or you can phone them, 438-2097. But all the information, including some links to Joanna's personal website and some pictures of what she has done over the years. And for her young age, she has a remarkable gallery of works. It's all linkable there at carvingstudio.org. You've done a series in clay, well, before we leave clay, because you're working now in marble, but called Ecce Homo, Latin for Behold the Man.
Yes.
Can you describe it for our listeners? I mean, obviously, there's some kind of an emotion you were trying to impute. Can you tell us more about that?
Mm-hmm. This is, I guess, the most important work that I've done so far. It's my thesis work for Academy of Fine Arts in Warsaw. And it is a statement of my conviction, of my belief in human being. I wanted to make a sculpture that will be like a manifest of my humanistic interest. And Ecce Homo, Behold the Man, it's a motif that was implemented by a lot of artists throughout the history whenever they wanted to talk about this fragile side of human existence, because obviously the scene comes from Bible. It's a scene when Christ was just being judged by the crowd, standing harmless in front of the crowd, who just sentenced him to death. But there was something special about this moment that a lot of artists referred to when they wanted to speak about this fragile of human being. And I wanted to get this motif and make it my own. And the form is it's based on images of Christ being just standing in front of the crowd with their hands tied. Being very, very innocent, being naked and exposed. But my figure, because it is a figure, it's 80 inches tall.
How tall is it?
80 inches tall.
80 inches,
yes,
wow.
It's taller than me.
Yeah.
It's standing there. He's standing with his hands tied, but his head is up. He's looking actually upwards. We cannot see his face. I didn't want to sculpt the face, but you can see the gesture of looking up. And my message is that despite the fact that he is being judged, that he is tied, he is limited, he is restricted, despite the fact of that, he is still standing straight. His head is up. He's full of pride. He has a beautiful chest of a young man. There is something powerful about this position, and I wanted to make this statement that you can overcome those difficulties, and there is something human about being about humans who are suffering. Still, there is something beautiful about them. Being proud, being human. So it's a very complex work. And it's obviously full of my humanistic interests. I think it is like my statement about interest in overcoming difficulties as humans.
Well, he is certainly, and it's a beautiful work. You can see it by getting to the links, folks, from carvingstudio.org. But Joanna, it's a real testament to what's the saying about humanity? Unbowed, broken but unbowed. Mm-hmm. Certainly partially broken by all of the beatings, all of the torture prior to the crucifixion, and yet, as you said, still standing straight, standing tall, head upward toward heaven, toward God the Father. as just a remarkable. You're a genius, is what I'm trying to get at.
Thank you so much.
It's an amazing work. It's called Ecce Homo. It's Latin for "Behold the Man," and you can find it on Joanna's website. In fact, do you have a direct? Can folks dial that in or punch that in on the keyboard, or do they have to link to you from the carvingstudio.org?
No, I have my website.
What is that?
Which is, so it's Joanna Sokolowska WordPress.com. I can spell that. It's my name, which is Joanna
Okay.
Sokolowska dot WordPress.
Oh, PRESS.
Yeah.
WordPress. Oh, WordPress.
WordPress, yes,
Okay,
WordPress.com.
Yes. So it's Joanna Sokolowska .wordpress. Is it com or org? .com. Okay.
Thank you.
Boy,
for your help.
your English is very good. I could barely get through, full SY for WSYB, our call letters for the radio station, and your English is just, rolling off the tongue. It's 23 after 9 o'clock, WSYB. We'll do it in English from now on, just to keep ourselves legal with the federal authorities. Joanna Sokolowska is our guest this morning here on SYB, an international artist in residence at the Carving Studio and Sculpture Center in West Rutland. Joanna's on a Fulbright scholarship here to the United States, a 2-year program working on her second master's at the Massachusetts College of Art and Design in Boston, but she's spending part of her summer here in the beauty, the absolute gorgeous surroundings of the Green Mountains of Vermont. These must be pretty stunning for you coming from Warsaw, Poland, huh?
Yes, I love this place. We do have mountains in Poland, but it's
not like these.
Not like these. Yeah, it's exceptional.
No. And you know where the name of the state comes from the French, right?
Yeah. In Green Mountain.
Vermont.
Vermont.
Yeah.
Si, je parle français un peu.
Yeah, very good. Well, we'll make the transition here. We'll take a break. When we come back, I want to talk more with Joanna about her current work at the Carving Studio. We'll make the transition from clay over to marble. Imagine this, if you will, folks. A 600-pound block of marble gets dumped in front of a very petite young woman, and she has to make a piece of art out of it. We have to ask her all about that, and we will when we come back after the break. 9:24 at SYB. Stay with us.
Here's more Morning Chat with Ken Hayes on WSYB and WSYB1380AM.com.
Just about 9:30 at WSYB, and our guest this morning is Joanna Sokolowska, the international artist in residence at the Carving Studio and Sculpture Center in West Rutland. If you have a question or a comment or a story you'd like to share with us this morning, by all means, jump on the telephone, 773-9792, 773-WSYB, or toll-free, 1-877-241-5960, 1-877-241-5960. So, before the break, I said to everybody, you got to hear this, because this is something, Joanna. I just can't imagine, because you're small, you're petite, you're tiny, and no, that's in a good way, but I can't imagine you standing in front of a 600-pound block of marble and being told, okay, go ahead, you're free, you can do anything you want with it. Well, now, let's be clear, this is the first time you've ever worked in marble?
Yes, actually it is.
Wow, so you had no idea how do I express this best? All sculpture has a certain feel to it. Clay, obviously, because you literally have your fingers in it. But even when you're using the tools, the softness or the hardness of the material, when you're working with metal, I know you've done metal before, they all have a certain feel, a certain give or not give to it. How did you even know how to start or approach a block of marble? Because you don't know, is it soft, is it hard, will it come off in bigger pieces than I want it to, how did you mentally tackle that?
So actually I did work in stone before. It's though marble is exceptional stone, it's still a stone. And because I had experience of working with Roman travertine, which is a softer stone. I did a piece in this stone when I was in Italy during my year in Tivoli, actually. So it's not that completely different. Its tools are quite similar, and the idea of working, of chipping off the material, of chiseling is the same. It's just, as you said, the material itself is a bit different. It's a bit harder. So it was a challenge to start working on such a scale in marble. But some of the activities, some of the movements of my hand with chisels were quite the same. So it's not completely new. The challenge is actually to carve a figure without a model. I would say this is the hardest point. Since I'm mostly interested in figurative art, sometimes being more, sometimes less realistic, but still as treating the human form as my main form. It's I'm used to working with a live model.
Figure model. Yeah.
It's something completely different when you can make reference to the real person. I knew that I won't be able to have a model. Still, I wanted to face the fact, to get the challenge. And it's just, you just start very slowly. I was taking my time, just slowly getting into the form. Every day, slowly, by slow steps. You cannot make it fast in stone. So days and days of just really slow work, getting slowly into the form. I don't know how it happened. You just go on, and every day, every step is just telling you what to do next. You try to make more or less the form of the hip, then it indicates you where the leg should be, then it indicates you where the belly should start. It's like slowly digging into the form. It's like searching of the form in the stone.
Do you have a picture in your mind of what the final product should be, or does that evolve as you sculpt, as you chisel?
Yeah, so I have an idea more or less what I want to achieve.
You do?
But it's more about the overall impression, the overall mood of the position of the body that I want to get into. And just the proportions and a certain form develops with time. That's true. That is true. And when I work with this particular stone, the thing that has to be mentioned is that it has particular veins that I didn't expect. And actually, I really like responding to the stone and finding those veins indicating me some directions, which is quite amazing. But once I got into the stone, some veins started to appear, and they are actually vertical. They contribute to the form of my standing female, and I just try to follow them to enhance the direction of limb, of leg, of arm. You just really have to see the piece to be able to know what I'm talking about. But really, one vein is literally indicating me the direction of my second hand and my second leg. So it's really fascinating to work with stone.
Now, this is a piece of a woman standing with one leg lifted. The knee is kind of up to the chest, and the arms are folded across the chest. Is that... Oh, this way. Okay, so with the head leaning?
Yes, she's like leaning against the stone, almost like wanted to fall asleep or to hide in the stone, to emerge into the stone. So this is a very relaxed position. She's quite shy. She's quite lonely, actually. That's what I wanted to show in this piece. She's leaning against the wall, almost wanting to fall asleep or just hide into the stone.
Well, human emotions obviously very important to you in your work, but I wonder, do you draw emotion from your work as it takes shape, or do you impart that sense of emotion into the work as you work on it?
I always try to get into the certain mood, and because of course you keep on changing as a person, and own experience contribute to what are you thinking the certain day, what are you doing the certain day. So if I were to stick just to my emotions, the piece would keep on changing every day. Yeah, so I have to have the overall direction which I want to direct this piece from the very beginning to the very end. And what I believe in is that you have to stay true to your own convictions and your own general personality and the state of life you are in. And right now, because I am, as we begin this conversation, I really love my time here in America, but still I'm far away from home, sometimes, feeling lonely,
Sure.
sometimes feeling sad. I must admit that. That's, of course, sometimes just hard moments come. And I found that when I'm doing this first piece of marble, I wanted to do something that will have a meaning. And I thought about doing Eve. Eve is a female figure that is also depicted in art for so many ages. She's like the first woman. Mm-hmm. And there is something about the story of her being deprived of paradise that I found really interesting in at this particular moment of my life. So I guess I'm trying to also say something about the general mood of being far away from home and being a bit lonely and losing something, waiting. It's all those emotions are in me, and when I'm working on this piece, it's all coming out naturally.
So there is that sense of longing that is in this piece.
Yes, definitely.
And is this the piece you're calling it My Eve?
Yeah, I think so, because it's always it's interesting how do you choose the title of your work. But I wasn't sure which way to go in the very beginning. But once I started work, I just wanted to do this female form. At some point, I figured out that suits me well, and just adding this "my" to the title, My Eve, would have more meaning, and that's how I think I will call her.
Well, it is your Eve, because it truly is. It's your emotion through your fingertips or extensions of your fingertips, chisels, etc., to bring about that work of art from what had been just a chunk of rock that was pulled out of the quarry. So, yeah. I mean, it truly is your Eve. But when you say Eve, you always think of the reflections on the fall of mankind from paradise. Is any of that in this work as well?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I love working on a lot of actually meanings, on a lot of dimensions. Multi-levels, yes. So it's like my Ecce Homo. It's a story that is so well known in Christianity. It's a story of this crucifixion, but so there are references to history, to culture, but also there are like a lot of personal level to this piece. There is like human overall message that I want to put into this piece. So there are a lot of levels of meaning that are accumulated in this one form. And with this Eve, it's quite the same. So it is personal on the one way, because I just find it the most honest way to work, to work, from what you are experiencing and what you're feeling. But I don't want to keep the works, a bit selfish, just about myself. I think it's much more interesting when you try to refer to something else. And since this is such a big theme, Eve, Adam, the beginning of the world, where do we come from? I think it's fascinating, and it's really great to be able to make reference to those big themes, and something that actually anybody can relate to.
Well, there certainly is a universality to those themes. I mean, the fall from grace, the loss of paradise, of paradise. In fact, that brings me to another point. Back in Poland, your piece is focused on longing, on quandary, on kind of the sad parts of human emotion. But then you came here to America and you tried something different in Boston. In fact, you did. You called it Paradise.
Yes.
Tell our audience about Paradise. This is a fascinating kind of experiment that you did with art.
It is experiment, definitely. So coming here, I wanted to try something completely different. What I really am drawn into is getting to know all the people, getting to know about your culture. So I was walking in my school at Massart and asking just random students, random professors, whoever I met on the corridor, could I take like 2 minutes of your life? And they were mostly really happy to. Yeah, sure. What do you want me to do? So I asked them to sit in some comfortable position, and for 1 minute, actually we could do it right now. If I could ask you to close your eyes and think about what your paradise is. What is a paradise for you? So they just, for this like 60 seconds, they closed their eyes, trying to get into the mood. And I just gave them this 60 seconds, to consider whatever that is that they feel like is a paradise. And at this time, I took the photograph of the face, of the expression of the face. And it was just amazing to compare those photographs later. Of course, for some people, it's hard to just in 60 seconds to get into the mood.
Sure.
But really, some of them just started to smile. There is this beautiful hint of the smile on your face. Some people got really peaceful. And with not with all of them, but with some of them, I was talking about, okay, so could you tell me what did you think of? What was that? What made you happy?
Yes.
And they keep on telling, different things like my paradise is my beloved one. It's my lover. It's my boyfriend, my wife. Or some of them told me, oh, my paradise is being on the beach, laying in the sun, So I've accumulated all those interviews or little chats, and I wanted to get the emotion, the prevailing emotion out of their answers. And what I found out, it's mostly about colors, about positivity, about peace, about the state of mind when you don't have to worry. It's also something about warmth, whether this is the sun or warmth from the heart of the person that you love. It's still something very warm. So I wanted to physically take those qualities into my three-dimensional forms. And I created a series of busts based on that qualities. So the end up product is the bust that is modeled in clay but casted in aluminum and seated on the heater. So it physically produces warmth. So the piece, there are like two things happening here. Well, first of all, the eyes are closed. The expression of the face of those figures is like very peaceful, very happy, just as those faces that I saw. But on the other hand, the piece that is made of aluminium is producing heat, so you can really go into it and feel it. Feel this heat.
What a great idea!
Yeah, and the second piece is just made of clay and colored with a lot of watercolor. With watercolor, so it's very colorful. It's very happy. It's very positive. Something very, very completely different from what I've been doing so far. But I just wanted to focus on this positive emotion of this positive.
That's a beautiful concept, but to take it from concept into reality is a whole nother, it's a whole nother language. And you are so fluid in that language. It's just amazing. And when you say warmth, it's funny that you said then you moved from the metal to the clay and you added the watercolors, the paint to it, because when you say warmth, I was thinking not of, because you said, like the warmth of the sun or something. My feeling of warmth, my idea of warmth is color or certain resonant chords, musical chords that, that come through the headphones and hit your eardrums. That to me is just the right chord. There's some paradise in the right chords, but you can tell I'm a sound guy anyway.
Yeah.
Hi, you're on WSYB. Thanks for waiting. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Hey, how you doing, Daryl?
Wonderful.
Thanks for calling.
Joanna's going to be here maybe another 3 weeks.
Yes, 3 weeks.
How far are you along in this sculpture?
That's a good question. You never know when to finish, actually.
Right.
But I think I'm at such a level when I actually could stop, because right now it's all about finishing, adding detail, adding more curves, and deciding how much material should be left untouched, rough.
So what happens to it? I mean, this isn't exactly carry-on luggage.
Yeah. Well, I would love to have it with me because, like, my every piece is like my child. You don't want to say goodbye to it. But I think it will just stay here because, I also would love to contribute to the sculpture park in Vermont in the carving studio. They have a beautiful sculpture park. And to be able to leave a part of me here, I think it's also a symbolical meaning for me. So I think it will be here.
So
you can always come back and touch it up every now and then.
I'd love to.
A good excuse.
But it means you can head on over to 636 Marble Street in West Rutland and check it out yourself, Daryl.
Boy, I tell you, it's tough enough to even consider chipping away everything that doesn't look like what you think it's going to be when it's done.
Yeah,
and then leave it.
Yeah. Well, Joanna said it's like her child. It's hard to leave behind. Yeah.
Wow. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling.
Bye.
Thanks for the call.
Bye.
10:15 WSYB, and we're chatting with Joanna Sokolowska, the international artist in residence at the Carving Studio and Sculpture Center in West Rutland. Carvingstudio.org. You can get them on the phone at 438-2097, 802 area code, of course. 438-2097, or stop by at 636 Marble Street. You can also send them an email. It's info@carvingstudio.org. Daryl asked some very prescient questions because he beat me to the punch. I was waiting until the end to ask you, well, what happens when you're finished? And because you can't put it on the plane, like Daryl said, and to leave it behind. But it means selfish us here in Vermont. We get to keep it. So we get to see it anytime we want. Will it be, as far as you know, will it be on display for months and months, years and years?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't actually spoken to the director, Carol, who's, by the way, the most amazing person in the world.
Carol Driscoll.
Carol Driscoll, the director of a carving studio.
A wonderful woman.
I'm here thanks to her, actually. So I think it will stay outdoors, because one of the great things about marble is that it can be put outdoors, and it's not afraid of the rain. So it probably will be somewhere in the park. Yeah. The one thing that I could mention is that actually I will have my thesis show next year in Boston in spring, because I will graduating from Mass Art. I actually, if I could think of my ideal scenario, I would really love to have this piece in my show in Boston.
That would be nice if you could put it on a pickup truck or something.
Yes, so that's just a matter of finding the way, whether I can just transport it there and then bring it back here. That would be ideal.
Well, it will fit in the back of a pickup truck, though.
It's not that big, actually.
Right? Yeah, it'll fit in an F-150 in a Ford, a standard pickup truck like we have here.
Yeah, it will. So who knows?
There's the challenge, folks. Anybody with a pickup truck wants to do some good for somebody. Contact the Carving Studio and let them know. You'll be happy to haul it over to Boston and then bring it back. Hi, you're on WSYB.
Hello, Ken. Sometimes with art, you just have to let it go and send it off.
Spoken like a true artist, Bill.
Yes. Hey, Joanna. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello.
Yes, I did major in art, and I've done a little bit of everything. And what I wanted to know is, when you have an idea, it has to be for a long-term project. It has to be a strong idea, and you have to stick. It has to sustain. And sometimes an idea can be very intense. And then the next day it goes away. So how do you know if an idea is going to sustain through the project, passion?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. It's I would say whenever you start a project, it has to be out of the conviction. So at least the way I work is I have this initial idea, and it may, like, the details may change, but I really just try to be, faithful and to the general idea, and I will just want to pursue this one topic throughout the time, and I just try to stick to it, and stay focused and work on it. And it's I think it will, one way or another, it will just come out as it was supposed to be, And when you're working with a human emotion, it's something more, that's happening naturally. So yeah.
Because Kenn will tell you, he's seen my art, a little bit of it.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
And those pictures, it's no big deal because they're so quick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for you, it's no big deal. If I tried to do something like that, it would be a major deal.
Well, thank you. But, the point is, the feeling doesn't shift while you do it. Mm-hmm. Those little pictures like that. But I'm thinking three-dimensional art because I like to build miniature cities.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes I'll think, I want to build a model of Key West, Florida, because it's Vermont, it gets cold, and you dream of places that are warm, and warm is also a spiritual emotion. But other times I think I'll see, pictures of Japan. I say, I want to build Japan, Kyoto, Japan in the springtime.
Mm-hmm.
And for a long-term project, you can't do that. You have to make a decision, pretty much. And so that's why I was kind of wondering, how do you know if an idea is fleeting or if it's going to stick with you?
Well, I never know. Well, I just start working, and it actually never happened to me that I abandoned some idea. I think the only reason I start doing certain project is that I'm really convinced that I want to do that, and I want to see the final effect. So I will just, and with sculpture, the fact is that it takes time. It's not that quick drawing. It never takes you less than a few days at least. So it's like a devotion, being devoted to one topic and just staying with it.
Well, it sounds amazing. We're short on time, Kenn. Back to you. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Thanks for the call, Bill.
Thank you so much.
Bill is so good at radio. He knows what time it is and how much time we have left. We still have a few minutes left, but Bill, that was very kind of you. We're chatting this morning on WSYB with Joanna Sokolowska, the international artist in residence at the Carving Studio and Sculpture Center in West Rutland. She'll be with us for another 3 weeks or so before she heads back to Boston and the Massachusetts College of Art and Design for her Fulbright scholarship here in the United States. A sculptor can actually convey emotion. A sculptor can speak through her art. Some art has the power to inspire, some to reinforce a positive or a negative emotion, but some works of art they truly force reflection. And this work that you're doing now, this My Eve, sounds like that's what you're looking to accomplish, Joanna.
Yes, that is my biggest dream, to be able to make my viewers stop and to reflect and think, and actually I really think that there's not so much time for those activities nowadays. We are in such a rush. We have all our businesses to do, and I do believe in this power of art that has been, for so many ages, just forcing people to stop and think, and not necessarily shock. I'm not into the art that is trying to force something just to shock and to make some statement. I would really rather to make my viewers stop and think. And there is something, I think, quiet in all of my works. I think there's something much more precious in silence than in shouting. And I'm trying just to stick to this idea.
I like the way you think. I think the same way. Great. Very good, very good. St. Thomas Aquinas saw art as a kind of a pathway to the deeper recesses, the hidden reality in man, in woman, in the world around us. Sculpting is a way beyond language, beyond words, of expressing feelings like desire and longing and sadness and sorrow, but also the joy and the happiness in the world.
Yes, definitely.
But there's that balancing act. How do you maintain that balance of not being too far to one side of the coin or the other?
Mm-hmm. So traveling makes me, updated, and the history of my works actually shows that a lot, being focused in those difficult emotions in Warsaw, where I've been so far, and trying to do something new here. It's like something from the other positive side of our emotional state. It's still exploring all this variety of emotion, feeling, and trying to not to stick to one path, but I'll definitely, what I'm going to do in the future is to keep my mind open, and experiencing things, trying to interpret things, and try to, but still speak about us as humans.
You're a fascinating young woman. I could spend hours talking with you, but they're going to throw me off here when this computer clock says it's time for you to go, Ken, and it'll cut you off. But when the few seconds that we have remaining, I want folks to know they can go to 636 Marble Street to the Carving Studio and Sculpture Center in West Rutland. Can they watch you as you work, or do you prefer to work alone and wait until the piece is finished? How do you like to act or interact or not with the public?
Do please come. I love falling just into the state of work, and when I'm working, I really love being into it. But at the same time, I really appreciate all the people that come to me here, and I'm really open to speak to anybody. So even when I'm working with my headphones, with my mask, you cannot see my face, just please wave. I will stop, and it will be my pleasure to talk to you, because that's one of the reasons I'm here, to share my experience. And just to end, because I'm Fulbright, we haven't spoken about that, but it's really one of the roles of missions of being a Fulbright student, is to be able to cultivate this mutual understanding between culture. And what I'm doing, I think it's a universal language. Despite the fact that I'm from Poland, I'm a foreigner here, I really do feel like home, and I feel the love of all the people that keep on coming to me. So let's keep on exchanging this positiveness, and just please step by, and I'll be really happy to speak to
That's great.
anybody.
Yeah, you're always welcome here at WSYB.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming by. I really do appreciate it. It was very sweet of you to take time out from your carving, because you only have 3 weeks left. So
yes,
you have
in
to
10
get back
minutes
to
I'll be already in my mask working
there
again.
You go.
So thank you.
Well, I'll leave you with 3 Latin words: E cum Deo. Go with God. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
And best of luck with all of your work ahead, okay?
Thank you so much.
Great,
it's really
thanks.
a pleasure.
9:57 WSYB. We'll take one last break and we'll wrap it up.